Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode number 50. I can't believe that I'm on 50 of Manifesting with Meg, conversations with extraordinary people. And tonight I'm so excited to bring you the extraordinary Jennifer Heller Monness and her meditation lab. So before we begin, welcome once again to my show about manifesting. I am so excited in the month of November, which is Attitude of Gratitude. And our theme tonight is Choose to Feed the Good, which is always a good thing to do. You know, this is a show about life transformation, living your dreams, spiritual inspiration, and finding true happiness. And of course, my favorite, discovering bliss. So it's time to manifest the life of your dreams. Tonight we have Jen to take us along. Good evening, Jen. I'm so excited to join you tonight.
I'm so excited to be here.
And before we go on, I just remind you all that bliss is not just an abstract idea. It's an attainable state of being. Whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, you are just steps away from living the life you desire. And are we ready to wake up to a universe packed with possibility? This show is based upon my book, The Magical Guide to Bliss. Here it is. Every month we follow, like I said, November is Attitude of Gratitude. We have Mike Spatola on, and he is telling us to knock them dead, which we will be sure to. Before we begin, once again, in the book, I ask you to set your intention, Jen, and at the outset, pick a magical number. So at the end of the interview, we will pick a number between the pages of 3 and 397. And then at the end, we'll talk about your intention for the interview and what insight corresponds, so you can share that with the audience, and away we go. Once again, my intention is always to have a good time. I'm going to start talking about choose to feed the good, which I'm excited about because we really need to choose to feed those wonderful things in our lives. Focus on what is working, what makes us happy, what brings us joy. And with that, introducing Jen. She is a certified yoga teacher and meditation coach. She is a founder and director of the Meditation Lab, which we'll learn more about a little bit. It's based out of Irvington, New York. She works throughout the country sharing her program. It's an experiential exploration of mindfulness and movement with corporate executives as well as faculty. She talks to students and administrators of all ages in public and private school, which is fantastic because the younger they get exposed to all of this great stuff, the better they are as adults. As we all know, we could all use a lot more tools at this age, especially when we deal with such big issues in life. The Meditation Lab was a program that was founded in 2016. And it has integrated into over 25 businesses and 40 schools and competitive travel athletic organizations throughout the country. So it's already made its mark, and I'm so excited to explore it with you guys tonight. Participants are taught meditation techniques in simple, practical ways to reduce stress, increase focus, and improve performance. She has a unique way of delivering her message and makes what could be an intimidating subject fun and relevant, which is all up my alley. The tools and techniques she shares and reinforces that happiness is a skill which you can train just the way you train your body at the gym. And with consistent practice, meditation can improve your work, relationship, and health. And she's been practicing meditation and yoga since 1996, so she's quite the expert on this. She shared her program, like I said, with more than 10,000 people since its inception. And I can't wait to share this extraordinary woman with all of you tonight. Without further ado, Jen, how are you tonight?
I am good. That was quite an introduction. Thank you. Thank you.
Your bio, and believe me, you've earned every accolade and great feat of making your mark in this world, and certainly by virtue of the fact that so many people have benefited from your program. You've done a great job so far, and we need more people like you into the world, right? Thank you. Tell me a little bit, or tell the audience actually who you are in your own words, and how you've arrived in this personally, lucrative, wonderful profession now, as well as, your path so far, because I know that you haven't always been doing the Meditation Lab, and you've been practicing since 1996, but that hasn't been the beginning of your journey, correct?
Correct. That's correct. My journey started, I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1989 and started working for now Governor Andrew Cuomo, who at the time was running a not-for-profit that was really the first of its kind to think about homelessness in a very different way in New York City, which rather than providing just a home or a bed for someone to live in, but instead providing them with the services that would be helpful for them to become more independent in their lives.
That's
So I
awesome.
met Andrew right when I finished college and was with him for about 6 years before he then went on to HUD to become Assistant Secretary of Housing. And at that time, I made the decision to stay in New York and to not go to DC because I really wanted to. I had always wanted to explore education. In fact, I had gone to Penn and I was in the business school. My dad was really excited about me being in the business school. And I ended up transferring to the School of Education. And in those days, which is so different than our kids now in college, they sent home a letter saying, "We just want you to know your child has changed majors." Right now, you don't get any information now as a mother of a college student. And I remember my parents calling me saying, like, "Did you just change to the School of Education? Because you need to change back like now."
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
so it was always in me, right? It was always so when Andrew went to Washington, this is the time I can go and get my master's in special ed, which I did. And while I was doing that, a friend had dragged me along to a yoga class saying, "I know that you would really like this." And within my first class, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I need to be teaching."
Wow.
It was like that. So I began as a yoga teacher in about 1997, I guess. My oldest son was just born. And I was teaching in studios all throughout New York City. And then we moved to Westchester County. And I continued that work here in Westchester County until about 2015, when my son was thinking about going to high school. And it was just such an intense time. It was so stressful for him. He's my oldest. And I thought, these kids need tools and techniques to help them manage the intensity of this process. And there was nothing like that at the time. There was nothing like that being offered in the public school system. I mean, mindfulness was not on the cover of the New York Times. People were not, and the word meditation just made people think of, like, someone sitting on a mountaintop like this, and there was no room for drinking Diet Coke if you were practicing meditation. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the person, because I do drink Diet Coke. So I'm going to be the person that's going to share with the world that you can be practicing these tools and techniques and not necessarily be adherent to this very, very, stringent set of rules that someone has, created as the myth that has to be. So that was when the idea came.
So I love it. So you went to Wharton. You went to University of Pennsylvania for the business school.
Correct.
And then you decided, which is one of the best business schools in the country.
I hated it.
You hated it. So at that point, you're like, well, I guess you knew exactly what you wanted because you just shifted on your own. Of course, your parents were just like, what?
Back. And then I shifted on my right. It's interesting.
I love it. And then you just basically, graduate with an education degree, and then out in the world, you happen upon a yoga class that just changed your life.
It really did. And I know my parents must have been like, so now you just got this degree and now you're going to be teaching yoga, which again, at the time, not many people were doing. But I just had a calling because I knew I would be able to help people on the journey of feeling better. I mean, that's how I felt. That's what happened when I walked into that class. It wasn't about spirituality. It was just about feeling more comfortable in your skin, feeling more relaxed, feeling more at ease. And then Isaac, this is what I have to do.
That's awesome.
Instant.
Let me take this off, and I want to show these wonderful people your beautiful logo for the meditation lab, because I think it's fantastic, and it's so simple in its beauty at this point. So how did you come up with that name? And then tell me what this is for you, because from going from a yoga class to having a whole, business based upon it. I mean, it took you some time. Tell me a little bit about that.
It did take me some time. And I must say that I was thinking about what you said at the beginning about feeding the good wolf.
I love it.
Yeah. And every time I'm feeling a little bit down, because as you know, owning your own business has a lot of ups and downs, I'm going to read the things that I've accomplished in 4 years and remind myself that even though one day might feel like not the best day, it's more about looking at that overall picture. So thank you for that.
Oh my God. I think it's fantastic because, and I think that, honestly, with regard to 4 years, that you've done so much within 4 years, I think that's the beauty of an idea that it really gets tapped with genius. Because I mean, 4 years is really no time, but in the same token, in the business world, that you basically still in existence after 4 years is amazing, because people give up. So congratulations to that. I want to really acknowledge and validate the fact that you are doing it and you're bringing so much good. And I want to step back, because I do want to go back to the theme. And I love the fact that you're acknowledging those wonderfully huge steps that you don't really see until you do sit back and think, oh my God, that's what I've done. And I think for anybody out there who has an idea that, brings them passion and brings them purpose, that is something that you really want to contemplate too, is that, the journey, it takes some time, but once you sit back and you really see where you've come from, that's really amazing. And it's significant, and that's feeding the good. So let me read the theme for today, because I think the quote is really important. And I really, we changed the day, but I wanted to keep to this, because I think this is perfect for you, Jen, because you really do embody this. There's a battle of two wolves inside all of us. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, lies, inferiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth. The wolf that wins, ? The one you feed. And that's an old Cherokee proverb. So it's all about the choices and being grateful for those beautiful choices that really bring us forward in life on that path that we want to choose and bring our greatest talents and gifts. So tell me how you interpret this in your life these days during, you're in New York. I mean, it can't be easy still. And it's been a long, it's been a long journey for all of us.
Long journey. Yes. So, the program, after about 3 years, had really felt like it had taken off. And I was spending about 3 weeks in, I would say, 30 different schools. So 3 weeks at a time, and had been booked to be working right all through the school year. The last school that I worked in was on Friday, March 13th. I had been in White Plains Middle School since the beginning of March. And so I knew, we had a sense that week that things were starting to not feel right. And teachers were really feeling, quite anxious. So yeah. I don't think I would have ever had a sense, though, that on that day, on that Friday, that would have been the last time that I ever stepped foot into a school, until, in fact, my work at Stepanak High School this month. And so there I was, crying in bed, saying, I look at all the things I've done, and now, it's, what am I going to do now? Right. And that's really where the meditation practice has helped me tremendously. It's not just about giving me faith, but it's about giving me ideas. You talk a lot in your book about tapping into creative inspiration. It's like, I can sit here and cry, which I did, and feel upset about all I've created that's no longer going to be happening. Or I can think about how I can continue to do what I love, but just in a different way. How can I continue to do what I love, but be flexible so that if it has to look different, it will. And if I look back at the 4-year journey, it really was that. I started off in competitive athletics, working after school with any team that would hire me, which then shifted because a parent said, my child isn't an athlete, but why isn't he or she having this opportunity? So I was like, okay, that makes complete sense. We can't just be a competitive athletic program. We have to be in school. Well, what class can we be in school that everyone participates in? Physical education. So then I went to Irvington and said, can I be a unit of gym? Which, again, with the name meditation in your logo at that time, that was not a good thing. It probably would have been better if I was the mindfulness lab, but in 2016, people weren't even using that word. Wow. But my daughter had come up with the idea of using the word lab in the company name, because she loved the word lab as a student, of thinking of you have science lab. It's like we're experimenting. And that's what we're doing when we're together. I'm offering different thoughts, ideas, ways of approaching this practice. Yeah. There's no one perfect way to do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The way that resonates for you, that's the way. But we're in the lab. We're going to figure it out together. And we'll all hopefully leave after our 3 weeks together with each child student having some real, tools that they integrate in their day.
So I want to show a picture also in the stream of your classroom, which is fantastic. These are kids. Is this physical education class? And they're all.
So that's a great question. So, and I know you have so many pictures. So this is my most recent work at Step and Act. So this is MedLab in 2020, which I always say, the students are wearing masks. They have desks that give them a sense of spatial awareness about what 6 feet apart is.
Right.
This is a gym that was where carpet was laid down because we used to work on mats, but there was too many issues with sanitizing the mats. It's a whole new world, but we're there and it's happening. And this is, as I said, I've been teaching virtually, live virtually in schools, and I made pre-recorded sessions that schools are using. But this was the first school, in fact, that said, we want you to be there with us, which was amazing. As I said, this tomorrow will be the last day of a 20-day.
Oh, wow. So it's a 3-week process. You go for 3 weeks, you sign up for 3 weeks. And then when did you actually go back into the schools again after,
So this is the first school I have been in since March 13th.
Wow.
Again, I've been in schools like this. Hey guys, it's Miss Jen.
Yeah.
And that's lovely. And there'll be like 60 little boxes of students on the screen. And I had to take a course and how to navigate that, how to call on someone and tap their box. And so I just love teaching. So if it has to be on the computer, it will be. But this picture on the bottom right makes me smile just because that had been that was worth the wait of 8 months.
Do you see a difference with the kids from the time you enter, like the first class, until the 20th day, like tomorrow? It'll be like a different change in these kids with regard to how they handle a lot of the anxiety and stress?
That's a great question. So to be clear, I'm in a school for 20 days, which doesn't mean I'm with each individual student for 20 days.
Okay.
Due to there's just not enough time in the day. But ideally, I'm with each student twice. But there would be 10 different classes because we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school.
Wow.
But there's no question that the tone of the first class, where there's a lot of resistance, eye rolling, I'm stupid. And the good news is I have 6 kids of my own, so I know what eye rolling is. I know what resistance is. One athletic director said to me, "I'm so sorry.
Oh my God,
they're not bad kids." I said, "Oh no, of course they're not. They just are going, what on earth are we doing, coach? I thought we were going to be playing basketball today." Usually I'm used to kids being disappointed when they're like, "She's here." But so the shift even from class 1 to class 2 is that the second time that they come in and it's me, there's not much resistance at all. Now, maybe someone says I'd still rather be doing basketball, but everyone's like, "Oh, okay, we'll do this."
Yeah.
Which still say that's good. That's a step.
So I want to go back to what you've told me before with regard to your practice. And let me take this off because I think it's really important that you reiterate the fact that you look for movement. The whole idea is to get these kids to move. And tell me a little bit about how you move them away from the idea of the woo-woo yoga of the yesteryear and the whole, listen, the reality is that mindfulness and meditation are concepts that are now entering the mainstream within the last 5 to 10 years. So it's not something that's been around forever, and especially for kids. I was surprised myself to see that there was a yoga classes offered at my own son's high school, and the whole idea is trying to control the idea that you can handle stresses differently in the tools. And I love tools because that's really empowering for manifesting if you want to manifest a life. So tell me a little bit more about your whole process that, you engage the kids from play. Tell me about it. I want to hear more from you.
I love that. So this picture makes me smile. We made this video series in June when an elementary school had asked me to come up with a pre-recorded series for kids. And it is essential, whether I'm working with elementary school, middle school, or high school students, there has to be movement, right? The essence of the program is moving towards stillness, right? I can't ask kids to sit still and meditate if they're physically agitated and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we start with very simple stretches. I usually don't use the Y word, like the yoga word, because boys are like, "Ooh, I'm not a yoga person."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I say we're going to move mindfully, or we're going to stretch, which sounds a little more athletic,
Yeah.
usually there's buy-in there. So we start lying down on our back, placing one hand on our chest, one hand on our abdomen, closing our eyes,
Yeah.
taking some long, deep breaths. Everyone's happy to lie down. There's no student that isn't like, "Ooh, lie down in the middle of the day sounds great."
Yeah.
We slowly begin to connect with the rhythm and the flow of our breath. And then we start to move and breathe. Very simple, basic movements. Ultimately, we come up to a position more like you see me there, where we're seated. Typically, we don't do any standing work at all, but we do some work on our abdomen, noticing how it feels to stretch and breathe there. And then ultimately, we come back down to do like a nice body scan and a guided relaxation. This all happens before students learn a 3-step meditation, a simple, easy to follow, 3 simple steps that I think now everyone says 3 simple steps, but I know in the moment when I created that, it felt new to me, because I always felt like I can't overwhelm kids. We're just going to go step 1. And no matter where you are, you're like, oh, even if I'm on step 2, I know I'm halfway there. Like, I was always thinking about it somewhat through the negative, or certainly through the lens of a child who might be like, I can't stand it, but I'm halfway there, right? She tells me there's just 1 step to go. I can do that. Probably because I remember listening to meditation videos or audios and thinking, the teacher stopped talking, like, is it almost over? When you're agitated.
Are we there yet? Right? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because well, and I can imagine even nowadays the span of attention is less and less and less because of so many different technological gadgets that they're like, hurry, 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 hurry. But I know what's really cool about the whole idea is that Mike's saying giving them the tools is key, teaching the skills as well, but doing it in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's being forced on them, and then it's engaging. Because like you said, who doesn't like to lay down on the mat? I mean, it's my favorite. What is that? It's
right, which is a word, but yes. I mean, what happened was I practiced this program that I envisioned on each of my children, and I got feedback from each of them. So my son, who was a junior in high school, said, "Ooh, the only thing I really like is the lying down part." So I was like, "Good, I'm noted. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with the part that everyone likes the most." So we dim the lights in the gym. We really shift or transform the energy of the gym. I have like scents and a diffuser, not that they can see it because that would look too kind of woo-woo, as you said, but there's a nice smell. The lights are soft. There's music, and kids get to lie down and close their eyes. I mean, the next thing you know, it's over. But when they come back, they're like, "We'll do this." There's very little resistance when it's presented that way. Had they walked in and I said, "All right, everyone, sit upright in a cross-legged, uncomfortable seat, close your eyes and start relaxing." I mean, that's not setting kids up to be successful.
Yeah. And you really think about it this way, is that they really are giving the tools to these kids so that they figure out ways to self-soothe themselves later on in life. Because, a lot of people are having a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, especially in light of something like, a pandemic occurring, or, a lot of stressors in their life. And if you give kids, or even adults, who were once kids, the opportunity to learn what works for them in such a way that they would want to continue doing it, then it's a success. That teaching program that you engaged from that point of genius, what really worked for you, really is successful. And I love this as well, because you say one positive small thought in the morning can change your whole day. And when you insert this, like, to feed the good, that one small positive thought that you engage with your students as well can change their whole life. And that is really impactful. And I wanted to talk to you about that, because I know going from one point, you have 6 kids. I mean, you said it twice, and I just think that, I love the fact that you have 6 kids. And the second thing is that you are so you're so calm. And I think we talked to each other many times, and you just come across with a definite calm effect. But you also embrace the fact that you know what responsibilities you have, and how you handle them is by,
I have to do this, right? I mean, I practice every day, not because I'm a good student, but because I know that if I don't, I really won't be able to navigate the ups and the downs of the day without, being overly reactive. So I know that about myself, and it's what creates the discipline or inspires the discipline. But I think it's what's allowed me to be the messenger, because I can speak so authentically about the practice. And I say that because at the end of each class, we always set aside about 5 times to talk about practical application. So it's like, you've had this good experience.
Yeah.
So now how can you find 3 minutes in your day? Let's break that down, right? Because you're waiting for the perfect time to do this. And I've said this to you, you'll never do it, right? So you have to think about you look at your calendar and you say, okay, here's my day. Here are a couple of windows where I might be able to take 5, whether it's 5 deep breaths or 5 minutes of deep breathing, and close my eyes and create that for myself. So we do the same thing with young people, right? Let's look at your day, whether it's on the way to school, whether it's before a big test, whether it's before soccer starts, whether it's when you get home before you do your homework. Like, what are those transition times where you could integrate the practice?
Well, I want to ask you something about that, because I think that, a lot of everyone was moved inside to their houses, or they were changed, and they were asked to be flexible with their life, a little bit more resilient with regard to, trying to navigate the world a little differently. People are, they push back, but the bottom line is, you have to restructure yourself in a different way of organizing yourself. So if someone were to say, I want to live a different life, I want to choose to feed the good, what would be the one thing that you would encourage them to do at the outset that would give them the most bang for their buck? Literally, we're sitting here in Thanksgiving week. We have a whole month left of 2020. Like, what can you give to these people who are listening, this audience who are like, okay, Jen, tell me something that I can do to make, so I go into 2021 with a different vision and a more balanced sense of who I am and why I'm here, but with more calm in their lives.
So I would ask them to trust me when I say that although you feel like you don't have enough time to take 5 minutes to close your eyes and settle your energy, I'd ask you to trust me that by taking those 5 minutes, you will actually create more time for yourself, right? You'll be that much more steady and that much more centered to then go about your day and move through your day in a much more pleasant, enjoyable way. So I think of it like this, like they always say, attach a habit to a habit. So maybe it's right after you brush your teeth, right? Maybe it's right after you go for a run. Maybe it's right after you, empty the dishwasher every morning that I do. Whatever it is, attach one habit to the next habit and make a 5-minute commitment to yourself.
I like that.
There's an app, Insight Timer. It's free. You can put on soft music on the app.
What is it called? Insight Timer?
Insight, INSIGHT, Insight Timer.
And that's an app.
It's an app.
Okay.
You can set the timer for 5 minutes. You'll get a little bell at the beginning. You pick any music you want. It's all free, whether you want to listen to a babbling brook or, a fire logs burning, whatever makes you, waves moving in and off the shore.
Yeah.
And then there'll be another timer that will, a bell that will ring at the end. You could set it for 3 minutes, Meg, in the beginning. Yeah. And all you have to do is sit up tall, take a few long, deep breaths. And every time your mind moves away from the breath, you're just guiding it back. And whether you're using simple words, maybe that's an easy one. So you're picking 2 words, 1 word on the inhale and 1 word on the exhale. So it could be in and out, or it could be begin, again.
I like that. Begin again. I like that. So 1 word on the inhale and 1 word on the exhale. I like that. That's really
that resonate with you. So let it be anything. Sometimes I use words like my teacher, Sharon Salzberg. I love this. She used words like breath and not the breath. And that was the way of reminding herself, like, if I'm focused on the breath, I'm using the word breath. And if I'm not focused on the word breath, if I'm not focusing on my breath, I say not the breath. And it's just a little cue that's like, oh, come back, right? You've wandered away. That's okay. Don't get mad at yourself. just come back and begin again and begin again and begin again. And that way you're like, oh, I'm not failing.
Yeah.
I just noticed that my mind wandered. I'm starting over. I'm training my brain. And these are the things we talk about with the kids, right? You work out your muscles at the gym. This is the same thing, mental skills training.
I have to tell you, so I've had my battle with anxiety, and I've had my challenge with my parasympathetic nervous system on the fritz. Like, I remember that the first thing, a lot of the body work that they taught me to do is you have to tap into your body again. It's because your brain is going into that creative, development where, you're not breathing, you're not inside, you're not in your body, you're like, and that's why your heart starts to race.
Fight or flight mode.
Exactly. That's when the whole flight. So that when for the beginning, they had me wear a rubber band around my wrist and flick it, just so it felt reality. What's real? What's real? My brain can create different things. But I think the fact is, it brought me back to my breath. And that's exactly what you're teaching people to do, is that the first thing you get up in the day. I remember someone said to me, a great tool is when your feet hit the ground, say, I'm grateful for being alive today. And just use one of the gratitudes. The minute your feet hit the ground, you say, thank you. It's the same thing what you're doing now. The minute your feet hit the ground, grab your 3-minute app, and then, begin again. And it just brings you into your body, and where you're renewed by that breath and reminded to start from that place. Let me ask you, I really want to know more about this, because when I introduce people to this, to your extraordinariness, and literally, you're interesting. You worked with Cuomo, and then you went into education afterwards because of yoga, and then you wanted to teach, kids how to manage, their lives in a different way by virtue of having this intentional practice, where that will really be a part of the building blocks to help them be, really good, solid adults in the future, and not these erratic, kind of ADHD. Not that's not a thing, but it's a tool, and then you're giving empowerment tools to really truly live your life, right? So when I went to ask you, like right now, many people are dealing with anxiety. If you're watching the news long enough, you might freak out. But other than that, like, how do you help people other than the breath work? What would be a great tip for them to help them through anxious times, anxieties, things that would cause them, especially because of the movement? You're saying like positive movement rather than like maybe like contracting, expanding heart space.
Right. For the answer to anxiety is action, right? You have to get out of your head and into your heart, right? How do you do that? So you can get out of bed and do your meditation, and that's certainly helpful. But sometimes just moving the energy is what's necessary. So whether it's taking a 20-minute walk every morning, or however it is that you like to, reconnect with that feeling of being alive. And so many of us, especially because during COVID, a lot of our buffers were taken away from us. Like if you used to commute to work, that was kind of your time to settle in the car before you went to work, right?
Yeah.
Riding home from work, or just being in your home where you had some time alone. Now, if you have a family, you're never alone. So it's your job to make those buffers for yourself, to make that time for yourself, whether it's setting your alarm 15 minutes early to do that. There's this whole feeling, I have to sleep, which you do. Yeah. But these practices are really essential to overall well-being. So it's a combination of things. I love your dialogue about gratitude. It is, I talk to kids about that. I use this reference, like good news slides off like a Teflon pan, like food off a Teflon pan. Good positive feelings, we don't hold on to them, which is why I was joking about like, oh, I gotta reread that bio. Like that's gonna make me feel, that's gonna remind me of all these wonderful things that have happened, instead of thinking about, wow, Thanksgiving's coming, they're closing down the schools for 2 weeks. That probably means I'm not going to be teaching or getting to do what I had planned to do. It's easy to go down the rabbit hole of negative thoughts. So it requires us to look at here I go. I'm starting to go to a negative place.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull back. I'm going to take some deep breaths. By practicing meditation regularly, daily-ish, it doesn't have to be every day, but daily-ish, you become more aware of when you are going down the rabbit hole. It's not that you stop being human. You're always have moments where you're like, this isn't what I wanted it to be, but you're going to go, oh, you know what? I'm getting stuck in this place. I need to pull back. And that's what meditation does. It allows us to like pull back the lens so I can now see this with more clarity. Like sometimes I see when the camera, it gets like a little fuzzy, and then all of a sudden
I
it
like that.
goes back and finds my my image in a more clear way.
Well, I think that's really amazing. I think that one of the things that just resonated with you, I mean, with me, that you've just said, is the fact that the clarity comes through awareness. And, we all get negative. It always happens. You can't, you're human. It's a balance. You're human and you feel. And even when we were speaking to the quote, there's a battle of two wolves. It doesn't matter. You can't avoid both wolves. They're there. Emotions, feelings, you process them. But the one that wins is the one that you feed. And I love that you were saying before, like, good things roll off a pan like Teflon, like, but when you grab onto them and be aware and just actually bask in them for a little bit, like, wow, this is really feeling good, then you might hold on to it a little longer. And one of the things that I've been trying to do successfully, I might add, is instead of going negative, I'm trying to get curious. What is happening here? And then I think that speaks a lot to the breath work, because I literally laugh, because I used to say, I am not going to meditate. This is not something, but I want to share this too, because I think this is fantastic, especially in light of the conversation we're having. Is a positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. Tell me why this quote speaks to you, because I loved it when I read it, and I'm like, I want to hear why she likes it. I know why it resonated with me, but boy, this is it in a nutshell.
So two things. For me, as I said, whenever I was worried about how I was going to come up with the next idea, so the pandemic happens, what am I going to do? My meditation practice always allowed me to see what the answer was. And so seeing the invisible, that just resonated with me.
I love it.
Thinker, one who meditates naturally over time becomes a positive thinker. And I don't want to say sees the future, but you get a message. It's like a message like, well, maybe you could try it this way. Maybe you could try, it's like a creative inspiration, maybe is a better way of saying that. I hold back from oftentimes sharing that with people, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm any different than anyone else. Like, I want to highlight, if you said to my kids, oh, is she Zen Jen all the time, which is what a lot of the kids call me in school, yeah, they'd say like, oh no, she's a big bag of crazy. She's like everyone else.
That's why I like you. That is why I like you. Totally.
But it's true. But they would say, but she's just very, very aware. So when she becomes that big bag of crazy, it doesn't last long. Or she'll come downstairs and within 2 minutes say like, you know what? I'm sorry that wasn't my best self. Can we try? Can we start again? Can we try over? I just think that's important to know. But feels the intangible and achieves the impossible. I guess in thinking about, again, you reading that bio, if you told me 4 years ago that I'd be where I am, I would have said that's impossible. So for me, that's why I love the quote.
I have to tell you, one of the coolest things about what you just said is the fact that people who see the invisible are those that live in their imagination. And this meditation lab started in your imagination. It's something that you came up with, this creative idea of possibility that others might not have believed possible, but you did. And when you do that and you infuse positivity, choose to feed the good, right, into that world, then the reality is it will come into your reality. And I think that one of the craziest, most wonderful, what you call a bag of whatever the heck you were saying about yourself, bag of crazy, is that when people are like that, their realities become what they've already imagined. It's just the process, how it unfolds, and how we trust the process, and how you're telling everyone that we have to trust you. The reality is that something that it's something that you didn't know, and now you know, and now you're teaching it to others, because it is something that has helped empower you in your life, which is the positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. Because truly, when you actually allow your teaching to shift other people, So that is seen as impossible for many, many people that I will like never do meditation. And now I do it whenever like I'm like, oh, people are like, what is she doing? Leave me alone. I am breathing. Clearly I need to. But I think the guidance that you give, and I think that what you're the beacon of light. You're a beacon of light for all of these kids. And that is so empowering and is so powerful and is so important. And we need more people like you in the world. And maybe there's someone out there who has that genius in them too, those creative ideas that, watching you create something that was once a thought or a dream into what is reality. And this is going to explode, because the reality is this is really what we need nowadays. Everybody is burnt out, fried, and they need something that's going to bring them back into themselves so they can start rebuilding from a place that they need to rebuild. So one of the coolest things about this show, which I love, this was a dream once, Manifesting with Meg, and I was just like, I don't have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to throw it out there and see if anybody comes. If they come, great. If they learn something, wonderful. But I get to share these wonderful people like you with the world, which makes me excited. And I'm grateful for the opportunity too, because you said yes to me. So I am so incredibly honored and privileged to have you here. And since this is the month of gratitude, I am grateful for your presence. Now I turn to you and say, how do you live from a place of gratitude in your life so that you can inspire others to do the same as well?
My husband wakes up every morning and writes a list on a piece of paper of the things he's grateful for. He's been doing that for a long time.
Oh,
Which I
wow.
thought was such a formal gratitude practice.
So amazing.
Amazing. I was inspired by that, not to pick up pen and paper, but to integrate 30 seconds at the end of my meditation, which usually is not a time where I am trying to connect to anything other than disconnecting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
It's not about like I'm trying at least not to be like planning my day and thinking about the grocery list. But I thought, you know what, I'll use the last minute. So I actually have a timer that pings that indicates that I have a minute left.
Yes.
And I will spend that last minute just actually saying names in my head of people in my life that I'm grateful for. And it's just, even if it's my dad and then the image of my father is there, or my brother and the image is there. It's so simple. It's so nothing. But it reminds you, especially in this world where we're not together, you have to force yourself to remember all of this beauty that you have in your life that you may not get to see. So that's my approach. I have a friend who uses a different approach and thinks about all of the people who are suffering or struggling, and that's a way for her to give love to them, but also to be grateful that she's not them. If that, like if that expression, it could be so much worse. And I will say that I was thinking about that today. An old friend came over to take some pictures of the kids. She actually grew up in Winter Park.
Oh, really?
One story for a minute, because about 20 years ago, I wanted to teach yoga to the hearing impaired. And I took sign language lessons. I went into the city to my husband's office and I called ABC Language School and asked to, work with a teacher once a week. And this lovely girl who was about 15 years younger than me came and met me at the office. And the first lesson is you have to say, my name is blank in sign language and I'm from blank. So she said, I'll go first. And she said, my name is Hillary and she's deaf. She was signing and speaking. And she said, and I'm from Winter Park, Florida.
Wow. Well,
I said that viewers don't know, but so we're both from Winter Park. So I was like, you're from where? So I said, I'm from Winter Park, Florida. It turns out she had gone to Lake Highland to school with my younger brothers and sisters.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, which is pretty amazing. In any event, she came back to the house today and was sharing with me how incredibly difficult it is to be deaf in a world where she is a lip reader, because everyone's wearing their mask.
Oh my God.
I had a tear in my eye and my kids had a tear in their eye. And I thought, okay, in my friend's gratitude practice, you would be thinking about her. You would be thinking, how fortunate am I for having all of my faculties and capacities, and how much love I extend to those who are struggling in that way. So I don't share that to bring you down, but I mean, there are people that
It's
worked
really,
so hard to navigate this. And so we have to we have to remind ourselves each day how lucky we are.
I want to say that I never thought of that. I mean, the perspective is just mind blowing sometimes that maybe like a lot of people may be inconvenienced by wearing a mask, whatever. Listen, the fact of the matter is when that is your form of communication and is covered up, it's like that is your world has gone silent. And I think a lot of people right now, and I'm going to say this, are struggling with the world gone silent for them. And trying to navigate the frustration and the fatigue of this whole period of time, at the same time grateful for the fact that they're healthy and their family members are healthy, and it's just really challenging. And when you point that out, that's a point of gratitude. I'm grateful that that is not my situation, and that at the same time having a lot of compassion or empathy as well, because this is not going to be forever. This is not we don't want to get used to this. We
Right.
want to go back to a time where we all hug, where I don't just see you on a Zoom screen, but I can see you and I can give you a huge hug because I'm grateful for your presence in my life. And the bottom line is, because we've, in this period of time, you've actually been present for a lot of the lawyers. You had a meditation and a yoga session for my circle of influence, my friends, that you've been able to impact as well. So the net we can throw out is wide if we want to. And I think at the same time being really grateful for what we have now, and then also understanding that some people are going through a bit of a struggle too, and that may not realize. It's always say, walk a mile in someone else's shoes, but once you bring it to someone's attention, oh my God, I didn't realize that. So that's really powerful what you just said. It just blew my mind. And when we're trying to manifest the life of our dreams, first of all, I love paying attention to the synchronicities. How you're from Winter Park, she's from Winter Park, and she's also coming into your world. That's amazing. And you never know. You just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to impact, and who you're going to impact with your vision, and your vision of extraordinariness that needs to come out. And many of us may be afraid to be vulnerable, but at the end of the day, it's necessary. So I want to share one more thing with everybody before, because I'm a big fan of the quotes. So I have to tell you, this is something that is incredibly powerful, that success cannot be measured in wealth, fame, or power, but by whether you have made a positive difference to others. And I think especially one of the things I'm grateful for is that I'm not able to do what you're able to do, Jen, but you are doing it for many kids that really are making a difference, showing them a new light, showing a new way. Tell me a little bit about what this means to you in your life.
Well, it's interesting. My work in schools, I feel like I'm doing extraordinary things. We, as a school community, are creating and accomplishing extraordinary things, and I'm not really getting paid a lot of money because schools don't have big budgets for these type of programs. So, I don't measure my success in terms of the amount of money that is coming in the door. And certainly I don't think of it as fame nor power either, but I am so lucky that I get to see each and every day. I mean, I get to share what I do and then get that feedback from those whether it's verbal or nonverbal feedback, right? I can see either relief or release or just a sense of, freedom or ease. And so I leave feeling rich and blessed and feeling like, oh my gosh, I made a difference today. And so my biggest concern is always like, oh my gosh, I hope that, things go fairly smoothly here this winter, because when I don't get to make a difference in some way, then my day doesn't quite feel the same.
No, I love that. And I love the fact that you're able to find a path to use your voice to make a difference, a positive difference for others, because in my opinion, the ripple effect from that travels beyond your even wildest imagination. So I want to make sure that I tap into this time to manifest together. And I want to refocus like the conversation on back to the tools that you can give. I love the breathing techniques. I love the app. I love those 30 30 seconds of gratitude. So what's most important to you now as we sit Thanksgiving week and we're about to, celebrate with our immediate families? Hopefully people will be doing that. Clearly keeping in mind what's happening in the world that, that's still out there, COVID, and that we want to be really cognizant. But let me ask you, what's important to you in light of these last 10 months going into 2021, this last month of, oh my God, my favorite month, Magic and Miracles of December. So tell me a little bit about that.
I think the magic of this year has been about bringing the family back together. My two boys that were in college came home in March, and for the first time in so long, and I know so many families who have shared the same sentiment with me, we went from everyone being in a million different directions and a million different activities. I would sit down with one son after hockey at 10 p.m. Otherwise he'd be eating alone. But my daughter at 5 p.m. Otherwise but we weren't all together. And so having that time to be together for those couple of months before things got a little softer here in New York was really, while it was challenging, obviously, in so many ways, it was really magical. And it really reminded me that that it's not going to happen. It's not going to be like this forever. But when it does happen, when everyone does come back home, like they have now, I told you, my son is back in the house, back from college, to just be savoring the moments, like to be aware, like, oh my gosh, even the voice in your head, like this magic moment, this is a magic moment. Because otherwise, I mean, if you can let the river take you, which is lovely, but every now and then you have to pull back and say, look, ooh, here it is. Sometimes that's my own little mantra, like it's hot right now. And I'll be like, oh, it's a magic moment right now. My kids are making dinner. Oh, it's a magic moment right now. Well, no one's really cleaning up. But I mean, if they were cleaning up, that would be like a really
magical. That would be like mind blowing.
Right. But you have to like have that little, see, that's the ability to see with clarity, to see with perspective. Not every moment, but from a deep breath, right? A deep breath.
And Mike even says reestablishment of the family has been the silver lining in all of this. Even my own family, we sat down for dinner together, meals together, which we never did before. And we slowed down a little bit, which is really something amazing, and just really get to look at each other, see each other. So as far as how you start acting in alignment with this and bringing the lessons, the gifts of this period of our times into the future, how would you help others manifest that? Take those wonderful moments, like right now. I love that. Right now.
Yeah. I mean, it all starts with the breath. It all starts with one's ability to just get, coming back to the present moment is coming back to one inhale and one exhale. It's not a complicated thought. So that's what I would say. And the first step can be a really small step. Sometimes students will say to me, this was great. I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes every day. I'm like, oh, please don't do that. Don't even say that you're going to do that, because you've just set yourself up with a goal that's too lofty and most likely intangible. Start with small little pieces. Today, I'm going to take 10 seconds to think about 2 things I'm grateful for each morning. And then I'll take 1 minute to enjoy 5 long, deep breaths. And then I'm going to take 1 minute to just stretch my body, right?
Yeah.
With the kids rainbow breathing, painting rainbows.
Painting rainbows. That's painting rainbows, right?
There's your 3 minutes for today. It can build, but you have to start small. Start small, because then you'll make it happen.
Oh my God, I love that. That's my favorite thing. You just told me your favorite thing is painting rainbows. I love that. That's awesome. Oh my God, that made me so happy.
Those butterflies. So
the butterflies, that too. I'll take them both. That's awesome. We started off, with this interview of setting an intention, and I want to bring us back to there. Like, what is that intention that you had for today to share with all these wonderful people who are going to be watching you and listening to you and remembering to breathe, which is so important?
Well, I was so excited to be here. First of all, to reconnect with you, because
I know you're awesome.
A small miracle in and of itself.
I know, amazing.
And as I said to you when we first met, to be able to share what I'm doing with other people, whether they're inspired to then consider doing it in their school community, whether they're inspired to reach out to me to hire me to do it in their school community, but to let people know what it is that my vision was and how it is manifesting, how it is unfolding, and hopefully make a connection with someone else who has the same hope or dream or vision.
I love that. So collaboration for me is really important. I like, if I can make some magic with, oh, tell me what you want to do, and let me see if I can make some magic.
Exactly what you did with me. And the next thing I knew, then I was teaching at Isla. So I love sharing this, whether it's with adults or whether it's with children. So hopefully there's someone maybe that's like, oh, I actually can think of a venue that, or, a group of people that she might actually really be able to be helpful for. That would be exciting to me.
And let me tell you something, because I have been a beneficiary of a class of yours, and it's really, you will, after not even the brief time that you have together, you do feel a lot of the stress, tension melting away, which I think is really something that is very reflective of your abilities, because you calm people. You have a sense of calm that surrounds you, and it's kind of around the space that you brought into tonight, and who you are and who you've become, and this practice that you've had for some time. So with that, what is the number that you picked in the magical guide?
113.
So you have to share why, because this is a fantastic story and I love it.
Well, because I have 6 kids and 5 of them are born on the 13th. So the number 13 is just, that's my lucky number.
So for Italians, 13 is lucky. So that is a very lucky day. And plus you also said Friday the 13th too. So it's even better.
Right, exactly. So I just picked 113 because I don't know, just felt.
So what I'd ask you to do is read from the Magical Guide, page 113, and share with us the insight. And hopefully it'll be your gift, your message that will resonate with somebody who's out there listening tonight who needs to hear this.
Okay. The energy of affection. We can live without religion and meditation, but we cannot survive without human affection. Mm-hmm. A mother's love is the first and greatest gift of human affection that we receive. This amazing bond of energy is vital to each individual's growth. As a human race, we can survive without many things, but affection is not one of them. For us to thrive, we must reach out to one another with care and empathy. Mm-hmm. When we know we are loved, we are able to accomplish so much more, emboldened to grow beyond belief, spiritually as well as intellectually. Relationships are such an important part of our lives. While we are here, we have the power to liberate another from loneliness with love. Mm. While we are here, we have the power to impact another by including him or her in a life experience colored with joy. Mm. While we are here, we have the power to mother another once again with the kind of love and support that we desired in our first days. For the beauty comes from the realization that while our mother was our first and most important introduction to love and affection, she is no longer the only source available to us. We receive this energy from so many other people on the path as we set out to build a community of kindness. If we take the gifts received from the kind and gentle affection in this world and make the commitment to share them within one another, we all flourish. Mirroring the love of whoever chose to mother us out into the universe, we set the world afire with warm embraces, supportive handshakes, kind words, and loving attention. Show affection to someone who needs it today and share this incredible energy.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh my God. I think it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. And, really just feed yourself with that breath first, that energy of affection for yourself, so that you can come out into the world with a full cup. And then hopefully, even though we can't embrace fully, we can still embrace with love in other ways. And that's just beautiful, Jen. I think it completely aligns with everything that you represent in this world and how you want to show up, and your beautiful idea that has become so incredibly impactful for so many students. I'm going to put it up there again, your meditation lab. And I just know that the impact that it's going to have is going to go beyond any realm of possibility you could ever imagine, because the fact is that you are using your nurturing skills and putting it out there for the world. So I just want to say, this is incredible. I'm so grateful that you've invited me into your dream to help manifest, and then you've been manifest in my life as well. And we're all here to live life with incredible purpose and passion and everything that makes us come alive and joyous and happy, and gratitude for it all, which is really, what we're all looking to do this week as we sit down with those family members who are present, and then maybe say a word of gratitude like you do, and visualize those who are not with you at that point in time, but just be really grateful. And I would love to, set out to everyone where the audience can find you and contact you if to take some perhaps your classes, or to contact you with regard to arranging classes. Do you have your website as well? You can say it out loud so you can spell it out, and so people can understand and where to go.
So the website is themeditationlab.org. So just all one word, themeditationlab.org. And my email address is jennifer@themeditationlab.org. So you can email me anytime. My email address is on the website as well. And that's the easiest way to reach out to me.
So I'll be sure to make sure that all that information is in the feed. So afterwards, if anyone wants to contact you, I definitely encourage you. I mean, I know that she is going to be that difference in so many lives, and I can't wait. I get excited because I told her, oh my God, this is going to be so fun, because she knows me by now that I like to have a good time, and I'm like, oh, let's go do this. It's going to be so magical. I get excited. But before we end tonight, I want to give the final word of inspiration to you, Jen, on this Thanksgiving week, this last week of the month of gratitude. Go for it. Send us away, inspire us, and fill us with that breath. So go ahead.
On this month, this magical month of gratitude, I inspire you and encourage you to savor every moment, to spend time with your family and your friends, to connect in meaningful and mindful ways, take walks together, cook together, watch football together, share stories, just enjoy each other's company. And every time you feel yourself caught up in thought or not necessarily present with what's happening, just come back to the breath, back into yourself, and then begin again, reconnect.
I love it. Begin again. I love it. That's in the rainbow. And the rainbow. Oh my God, the rainbow movement. I love it. That's my two favorite things tonight. Thank you so much, Jen, for your wonderful insight and inspiration, for sharing your extraordinariness with us tonight, for helping me manifest this wonderful life that I have. And just, following you is going to be great for anyone who's been on here. You're going to really appreciate it, and you're going to learn so much. Remember, we're all here to be deliberate creators of our lives. We have to dream big and let all of us raise the positive vibration together with that energy of affection that she speaks of, so we can all be together here on this planet and live in our bliss. Enjoy the magic and miracles. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Be grateful for your loved ones. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for you, Jen. Let's love ourselves exactly where we are. Reach out to others and continue to spread the love. Time to manifest the life of your dreams. Good night, everybody. Blessings and bliss. Thank you so much, Jen. Have a wonderful rest of the month. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye.